Thank you for participating today. We'll now begin with questions for head coach Geno Auriemma. Use the raise hand function and indicate you would like to ask a question. When you're called on for your question, please state your name and affiliation first. We will start out here with Doug Feinberg with the AP. Doug, you can unmute yourself.
Hey, Coach. Good to see you.
Hey, what's up?
I got two questions for you. The first one is just, did you miss being around this for the last week, that not being in the hustle and bustle of the NCAA tournament? And I'm sure you probably didn't miss being quarantined, but did you miss being part of this group is the first question.
Yeah, it's, there's a certain nervousness that goes with being here and getting ready to play. And it's an anxiousness and as the games get closer, you feel it even more. And then obviously during game day. But sitting at home and knowing that you're not part of it, but you're trying to be a part of it, it's the most unusual feeling. And then you have to sit and watch the game. And the only good thing about it, I can tell you, is you could get up and just walk out. You can't do that during the game, so you're stuck. But there were a couple of times I just got up and I said, I can't watch this. And I just left, and they played better when I wasn't watching. Paige said she could hear me yelling through the TV, so
The second part of the question, you've been at this a while, and I can't remember there being so much hype around two freshmen in a Sweet 16 game than there is between Paige and Caitlin. I know it's UConn, Iowa, but can you remember two freshmen getting this much attention in a Sweet 16 game or in any game in the NCAA tournament?
I don't. It's been a while since you have two kids that have had this kind of an impact, both on their teams and on the game itself nationally. To have one is unusual. Not that unusual, but to have one is kind of cool. But to have two and to be so alike in so many ways, and yet now they're going to be, unfortunately, they're going to be put in a situation where it's like a big football game where they say it's Brady versus Aaron Rodgers, and it couldn't be further from the truth. It's two really, really young kids, really good players that do a lot for their teams. But like it always is in these games, they're just a part of it. And I think they would tell you, hey, we appreciate the attention, but I think it's better if it's left to Iowa versus UConn.
Thanks, Coach.
You're welcome.
All right, we'll next go to Patrick Eaton-Robb. Patrick, you can unmute yourself.
Coach, welcome back and happy birthday.
Thank you.
You have three players on your team from other countries, and obviously this year has been tough for any player and any coach, but especially for kids who, their parents can't cross the border in Canada, they can't fly in. What have you guys done to help these kids as they've tried to get to your program over the summer and then as they've been stuck here?
Well, getting them here was not easy. As you can remember, the previous administration, it was very, very difficult for anyone to travel. It didn't matter whether you were an athlete or not. If you were just a student looking to come back to the United States, it was very, very difficult. A lot of the embassies overseas weren't operating at full strength or even open. So it was very difficult for some of these kids. And then all the restrictions placed on what kind of classes you had to have. And, each university operating differently as to how they were going to conduct their classes. So for us, it was really a touch and go whether or not we'd be able to get, especially Nika and Aaliyah. But Aaliyah, because it's Canada, you feel like it's an easy transition, although sometimes it wasn't. But for Anna, not too bad because of she was a returning student, so she had more leeway. But for Nika, as a first-time student and coming from Croatia and dealing with the embassy situation, it was really, really a difficult process all summer long. And then once you get here, now you can never go home. You know, you go home, there's a good chance you're not coming back. So for them, it's been very difficult. Luckily, none of the other kids have been able to go home either. So they've all been in a similar situation. And school for us ends April 10th. So for all intents and purposes, I'm hoping that we can get them back home for the first time since July. And I know they'll be happy to go, and I know their parents will be happy to see them. But it's not been easy. I mean, it's not been easy on anyone, but certainly for those foreign kids, it's not been easy at all.
All right, we'll next go to Jordan Mendoza with USA Today. Jordan, can you unmute yourself?
Hey, Coach. You know, the reaction that your teammates or your team had when they saw you, you know, they seemed really excited. But can you just talk about, you know, what was going through your head and that you're finally able to, you know, see them in person after, you know, just being isolated for so long?
Yeah, you know, when I saw the reaction and when I saw the phones, part of me was really, you know, appreciative and, yeah, wow, I can't believe how much they miss me. The other part of me recognized right away, oh, here's another opportunity for them to post something on their accounts, you know. They just need content. So part of me was, man, I love the fact that they love me and want me back. The other part was, hey, I'm glad to fill in some content for, you know, all your followers. I know how these guys operate, believe me. But yeah, I missed them and I missed the team, and the coaches. I missed everybody, and it was. Hey, look, I hope I don't screw anything up. They've been really good without me. Shay, you know, being gone, and myself, you know, it put a lot of pressure on, you know, Chris and JJ and Ben, and they were magnificent, you know, and I just hope that you know, I can add some positives to it.
All right, we'll next go to Daniel Conley with the UConn blog. Dan, you can unmute yourself.
Hi, Geno.
Hey.
Not that you need to get every recruit that's out there, but did you watch Caitlin while she was being recruited? And just what do you remember about seeing her, if you did, before she ended up at Iowa and kind of blew up like this?
Everybody, you know, everybody sees all the best players, and you know you're not getting all of them, and you actually are fortunate when you get a couple of them. So I mean, everybody saw Caitlin Clark play. I mean, if you didn't, then it's because you know, you were recruiting someplace else where, you know, that type of player wasn't on your radar because you don't recruit at that level. But, you know, every Division I coach that, you know, that's been out there certainly knows of her and has seen her play. And I don't think any of them are surprised at what she's doing. It's the same thing that, you know, that she was doing during the summer, and a lot of the same things she did for USA basketball. You know, you're always, you know, a little bit kind of wow, you know, when they do it, you know, this quickly and they do it this well. But you knew it was going to happen. You just didn't quite know, you know, how long it would take. And obviously it didn't take very long at all.
All right, we'll next go to Emma from Sports Illustrated. Emma, you can unmute yourself.
Hi, Geno. Good to see you here.
Thank you.
I know you've seen the tournament switch from teams hosting the early rounds to some neutral sites to back again. And obviously the neutral site this year is under extraordinary circumstances. But I was wondering if you thought having those early rounds at neutral sites again is something that the women's game should maybe consider again going forward.
I think a lot of it depends on whether or not the fan interest is great enough that it's worthwhile doing. Like everybody, like no other sport except men's basketball, has neutral sites. I mean, we don't count football. I mean, that they don't count. But every other sport in the NCAA, you don't have neutral sites in those first couple rounds. It just doesn't happen. So because it happens in men's basketball, people just assume it's supposed to happen in women's basketball. But, it would be terrible to have games at neutral sites and have what you have here now, a quiet gym. So if you could guarantee, if you could say, hey, listen, if you have these things at neutral sites, the fans will show up, then I think I'm all for it. I'm all for it. And I think that would be great for the game, if you could do it. The big question I think everybody has is, can you do it? So somebody said to me, hey, you want to give it a shot and see what happens? I would say, yeah, let's do it. But I think if you don't have, fans in the building, then you don't have an NCAA tournament either, because you're missing the atmosphere that goes with, being part of an NCAA tournament game.
All right, we'll next go to Alexa with the Hartford Courant.
Hey, Geno, welcome back.
Thank you.
I was wondering if you had any update on your slime, Nika, on her ankle, and if you expect her to play, how she's doing, and anything that you could share on her.
I saw her today doing some stuff in the in the workout room with Geno, our athletic trainer, and she seemed to be moving pretty well. We have practice coming up right after this, so we'll see whether or not she can move pain-free, how much she can move. Right now, because I haven't seen her play, I haven't seen her go up and down the floor, I don't know anything. But I know she's way better than she was 2 days ago, and 2 days from now, she'll be way better than she is today. I just don't know where she is today right now.
All right, we'll next go to Roger Cleveland. Roger, you can unmute yourself.
It's good to see you back, Geno.
Thank you.
Well, you're welcome. Lisa Bluter said that she is not going to change their style of play, that she still wants to run up, down the floor, score quickly, because that's who they are. How important is it for you guys to dictate the pace of play? And do you do that more with your offense or your defense?
Well, I mean, if I was Lisa, I wouldn't change a thing. I mean, if I was Lisa and I had the team she has, I mean, they look like they can score 100 every night. So I wouldn't. I agree with her 100%. When you get to this stage, you've got to be who you are. You're not all of a sudden going to come in here and say, we've played a certain way, for 28 games or 29 games, and now we're going to play a completely different way. Now, having said that, there's things you're going to have to do sometimes to accommodate, who you're playing against. But I think if you try to change too much, I think your kids lose a little bit of, what got them here. So for our team, we have a style of play. If you watch us play all year long, you know how we play. We like transition basketball, and that's what we're going to try to do. And Iowa likes transition basketball. That's what they like to do. So I think, how do you help yourself against teams like that? You got to make a lot of shots, because if you make a lot of shots, then that cuts down on the transition stuff. You got to limit your turnovers, so that cuts down on transition things. So there's things you can do to keep that transition offense that both teams have at a minimum, but it's easier said than done. You go into a lot of games thinking, if we do this, if we do that, and if we do this and we do that, we can probably keep them, 20 points or 25 points under their average or whatever. you know, there's some games you go into and you just go, you know what, we might have to get 90 and hope that we win 90-89. It's just, sometimes that's just the way it is.
All right, we'll next go to Carl Adamek. Carl, you can unmute yourself.
Geno, usually you're pretty busy this time of year. So how much basketball did you watch when you were at home and like feel like the old days when you could just sit down and when the men's tournament started and just watch from noon to midnight?
Yeah, you know, I did catch a couple of men's games. You know, I always make sure, obviously I saw our game, and I always, you know, make sure I check on some of the Big East games. You know, I made sure to check on the Villanova game. But I can't sit there and watch games when I know that, you know, we're playing. If I'm going to watch a game, it's going to be somebody that we're going to play against. You know, I don't want to just watch a game for the sake of watching a game, you know, in the women's game anyway. If I'm going to watch a game, it's because we're playing against them, and I want to see, you know, what's going on. But I did have a little bit of time to catch some of the men's games, but again, it just hasn't felt the same. It hasn't had that same feel, you know. So it was just a different feel.
Quick follow-up. I don't know if you would consider, you know, doing a home and home with Iowa because of the impact that Caitlin and Paige have and the interest in, but do you remember your first game out at Iowa City?
Yeah.
After you beat
like
Penn State in that tournament.
87, 88, I think we played at the University of Iowa when Vivian was the coach out there, and we played Penn State. And it was a tournament, and we played Penn State and beat them, and then we lost to Iowa in the second game. And then there was another time when we went out there when it was Shea's freshman year, I think it was. She had gotten hurt. We were undefeated, and we were #1 in the country, and Tennessee kicked our butts. So that's what I remember about those two times.
Thank you so much for your time, Coach Auriemma. Best of luck in the Sweet 16.
Thank you.
Sorry that we weren't able to get to.
Fancy.
All right. We are joined by Christyn Williams from UConn. We will go ahead and get started. If you have a question, please use the raise hand function and you will be called on. We will start out with Patrick Eaton-Robb. Patrick, you can unmute yourself and ask a question.
Hi, Christyn. Pat Eaton-Robb from the AP. I was wondering, obviously this has been a hard year for everyone because of COVID, but international students have had an especially hard time with their parents not even being able to cross a border. So I wanted to know with Nika and Anna and Aaliyah, how the team has become kind of the family, and have you noticed that it's been tougher for them, and what have you guys been doing for them?
I feel like we're just honestly really close as a team. I'm sure they do get homesick, but, they don't show it too often. And they know that, we're there for them. We hang out all the time, and we're their family now, away from home. So they know that we're here for them.
Has COVID in a way made teams tighter because basically you've been able to spend this last year with your teammates and almost nobody else?
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, we spend the most time with each other, so that just helps build our team camaraderie. We're literally together 90% of the day, so that makes things a lot more fun.
All right, we'll next go to Alexa with the Hartford Courant.
Hey, Christyn. We saw the video of you guys welcoming Geno back once he finally got to San Antonio. But what's it been like to finally get him back the last day to, work with him on the court, obviously, and prepare for Iowa, but also just off the court, and to know that you guys are all kind of back together again?
Yeah, it feels great. We definitely embraced him coming back. We're just happy to have him here in San Antonio with us. We actually had an off day yesterday, so today is the first time we can get back on the court with him today. So we're all excited about that.
We will next go to Roger Cleveland. Roger, you can unmute yourself.
Christyn, how much do you embrace it when other teams want to play a really high tempo game and go up and down the court and try to outscore you guys?
What was the first part of the question? I'm sorry.
How much do you enjoy it when opposing teams try to go out there and outscore you guys by playing a really high pace of play?
I mean, we enjoy it a lot because that's our style of play too. So if they want to run, we'll run right with them. We love to get out in transition as well. So we'll be right there with them.
Thank you.
All right, we'll next go to John with Global Traveler.
Hi, Christyn. You've probably been asked this before, but I never found the answer. A lot of people view number 13 as unlucky. I was wondering why you chose that. Is there any special significance behind that?
Yeah, so it's really a family number. It was my brother's number in baseball and my sister's number in high school, and it's also my sister's birthday, so December 13th. So I wear it because, me and my sister are really close, and just to keep the number in the family.
Thank you.
All right, we'll next go to Charlotte Carroll. Charlotte, you can unmute yourself and ask a question.
Hey, Christyn, this is Charlotte Carroll with The Athletic. Liv and Chris, or CD, were talking about just how the communication on the court has grown since the beginning of the season. I just wanted your input on that, or where do you see that growth the most?
Yeah, really since our loss to Arkansas, our communication on defense and offense has been amazing. We knew that, that was kind of part of why we lost because our communication was so poor in that game, and we knew that we had to grow in that area of the game to be the team that we want to be. So we've definitely embraced that, and we've gotten a lot better at communication.
Just a quick follow-up. Did you guys do anything, or what did you do differently to work on that?
Just to be more conscious about it and to really focus on talking on the court. It sounds easy, but it's actually really hard because, it's a lot of things that go on throughout the game, whether it's because you're tired or, different things, but you just really have to focus in on it and just communicate with your teammates.
We'll next go to Waylon Cunningham. Waylon, you can unmute yourself.
Hi, yeah, this is Waylon. I'm with the San Antonio Report, and I wanted to ask Christyn if you've had a chance to see much of San Antonio or experience much of life outside of the bubble.
Not really. We went on the boat ride on the Riverwalk yesterday, so that was cool. We finally got to, get some fresh air. But really, we're in our rooms or in the ballroom, the food room, or on the court working out. So we haven't really got to see much of San Antonio because of COVID.
All right, we'll next go to Doug Feinberg. Doug, you can ask a question. Unmute yourself.
Hey, Christyn, Doug Feinberg, DAP. You've been the defensive stopper, it seems, the last month or so since that Arkansas game for you guys. I'm guessing you may draw Caitlin Clark for some of the matchup on Saturday, if not all of it. Just what have you seen that's impressed you watching her on film? I'm assuming you have a little bit, at least so far.
Yeah, she's really good. She's a sharpshooter. She moves well without the ball, and that's what makes her so dangerous. But I'm excited for the matchup. I'm embracing this role on this team, and, I'm excited for Saturday.
Thank you.
All right, our next question is for Patrick Eaton-Robb. Patrick, you can unmute yourself and ask a question.
Hey, Christyn. Obviously, the focus has been on Paige and Caitlin, and Paige has played her since middle school. So how much has she helped you, the rest of you, out with how to play her? Has she been assisting in the scout at all? And what other things are you, I assume not just you and her, are going to have to help out on her?
We actually haven't talked much about the game yet. Like I said, we had an off day yesterday, so we're kind of, trying not to think about basketball too much, just take the day off. But I'm sure Paige will talk to us more about Caitlin today, here in a bit. So I can't really answer that question for you, sorry.
Patrick, do you have another question? All right, we'll go to Roger Cleveland. Roger, you can unmute yourself and ask a question.
Christyn, CD talked about how much the juniors have really stepped forward to be leaders. And she said, especially once you guys got to San Antonio, that you're trying to make sure everybody's on the same page. Did the three of you sit down and talk about it and trying to get everybody together?
No, we didn't have a conversation, but we kind of just knew, with Shay leaving the bubble and with Coach not being here, and there was only two coaches, we knew we had to, step up in our role as leaders because we are a young team and this is their first experience. So we just knew that going in. There was no conversation needed. It was just kind of an understanding that we were going to have to step up.
Okay, were there any further questions? Let's say we'll go to Jen Hatfield with the next. Jen, you can ask a question.
Hi, Christyn. I apologize because you've probably answered infinite versions of this question, but really curious to ask you, as such a great scorer in your own right, what impresses you most about Paige and her game, and particularly, on the offensive end?
Yeah, Paige is just a really good teammate. Just besides, scoring, defense, even like off the court, she's just a great teammate overall. And that's what I'm most impressed about Paige's game. Anytime that anyone needs help or anything, she's always there. So that's just great to see, especially as just a young player. We're really lucky to have Paige on this team, and happy to call her my friend.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. All right, we'll go final question to Patrick Eaton-Robb. Patrick, you can unmute yourself and ask.
Christyn, Liv played so well against Cardozo, and Aaliyah did as well, and now you've got another, and Monica is going to be down there. So can you talk a little bit about how those two post players have played for you defensively especially, and what you expect to see down there against the top percentage scorer in the country?
Yeah, I feel like Aaliyah and Liv have really stepped up since we've gotten here to San Antonio. They've handled their matchups great. They've been very aggressive. They've been stopping people on defense. So I just feel like if they continue to play like that and continue to build the momentum pushing forward, we'll be fine.
Thank you, Chris, for your time today. Best of luck in the Sweet 16.